Welcome to Voice Rising with Kara Johnstad. Enjoy weekly conversations with leading luminaries, pioneering visionaries, singers, poets, musicians, and sound healers as we explore the profound role our voice plays on the path to self-realization and global enlightenment. The internationally acclaimed singer, composer, author, healer, recording artist, voice expert, creator of Voice Your Essence, and founder of the School of Voice, Kara Johnstad uses her extraordinary spiritual gifts to empower others. Everything in this world vibrates. Everything has a frequency. A pioneer in the field of voice work and transformational songwriting. Her breakthrough methods are helping thousands of people worldwide fine-tune their body-mind-spirit system and unlock the energetic frequencies of limitless creativity, health, and abundance. Share your voice, ask your questions, join in the conversation. Receive life-changing, positive transformation and rise together to create a sound world. And here's your host, Kara Johnstad.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Voice Rising. Today, I am in studio with Don Jose Ruiz. Don Jose is a Toltec master of transformation and modern-day shaman, a direct descendant of the Toltecs of the Eagle Knight lineage and son of Don Miguel Ruiz, author of New York Times bestseller, The Four Agreements. Don Jose Ruiz is the author of The Fifth Agreement, Ripples of Wisdom, My Good Friend the Rattlesnake, and along with his family, he teaches workshops and offers transformational journeys all around the whole world. Welcome, Don Jose, to this show. It's a pleasure to have you with me today.
Oh, thank you, Kara. The pleasure is mine. Very happy to be communicating.
Nice. Let's start in an easy place. Let's go back to your childhood and connect us with the memory that you have of voice in your childhood, of the stories and songs and that shaped you. It shaped your journey.
Well, one of the beautiful things that shaped my journey was the admirement and admiration and the love that came from my grandmother and my father, especially my grandmother, because she was a faith healer. So I used to go with her like a little kid, following her around, and she teach me how to heal with her. So at a young age, I begin working with my hands and with her. But the most beautiful thing that she teach me is to have faith in their intent, because we're the instrument of the doctor of doctors. And then she introduced me to different cultures, and she told me, we all work with the same divine boss. We work for Divine Mother.
Right. Beautiful. So you come from a long lineage of Toltec teachers. And so for our listening audience, in case they do not know what this lineage means, share with us, what does Toltec mean?
Well, Toltec, it means artist of the spirit in Nahuatl. And the artist of the spirit is because we're creating with life all the time. And I've been in my family tradition, my father, my grandmother, her father, and her grandfather. That's the lineage that we can go back to. But what a beautiful thing about this is to create personal freedom, to let everybody know that we're dreaming in life and that life is a dream. And if we don't like it, we can change it. But to overcome any darkness, any negativity that we experience in this life, so we can learn from those illusions and pass it on to the little ones, because we all believe that we all are keepers of the flame, and we teach the little ones to keep the flame. So this is not a religion. This is a way of life of respecting one another. And that's what we call artists, because the artists, when they respect one another's art, is a peaceful world. And this is what we're teaching in this tradition.
Right. Do you see the inner flame that gets carried down from one generation to the other, the songs, the stories? Is this also tending to the inner flame, like tending to our inner voice, our inner guide, that is a personal journey but also a collective journey?
Exactly, because everything is a personal journey. But the beautiful moment that we cannot give what we don't have. So when we, in our personal journey, discover this inner light, and, we believe in us 100% that we can change life and make the possibility of a beautiful life, then we overcome all the obstacles that life threw at us, And then the little ones, they learn not what we say to them, they learn how we live. They learn how we express ourselves, what we do, what we say, what comes out of us. And that's a beautiful thing. And to make everybody understand that if one person can do it, everybody can do it. So that's the collective of us all, because we all work for the same divine boss in different worlds, in different countries, in different speaking. But when it comes down to love, we all want to tackle down the addiction of suffering that's been clouded the world. And when we live with open heart, it's contagious.
It is contagious. I think that's true. So you actually believe that every single one of us is a channel, is a messenger, is an artist of the spirit, and we can all gather together as creators and not haters. We can really embrace that we all are creators in this beautiful life that we have that we have come to here on planet Earth.
Yes, absolutely, because when we become aware of our creation, we can totally see that everybody has intent, and everybody is so powerful with their intent. But if their intent is to sabotage, to live a negative life, well, the intent is so strong that will be a possibility that it will manifest. And that's what people have been sharing, and this is why people are not happy. But when people find their intent and their strength and be impeccable with their word, everything begins to change, because you begin respecting the word. And the word is the foundation of any story that one's going to tell itself. So if a story is based on corruption, it's going to fall. But when it's based on truth and wisdom and love, and this is the eternal flame.
I love this so much, Don Jose, because I work so much with voice, and I really believe that we have many, many layers. The intention, the prayers, the affirmations, the spoken word, as the first agreement, I believe, is to be impeccable with your word. All the stories, and also the songs and the chants, and our world is really a vibrational frequency, and also light frequency, right? So it's powerful to come back to what many of us learned as children is to be impeccable with your word, but many people in the press and the media in the day-to-day lives, we have forgotten, or there's less attention being paid to that. And I think it's very powerful to come back to the power of word. So your native language is Nahuatl, is that correct?
Yes, that is the language from my ancestors. The Aztecs spoke it, because in Mexico there's like 99 different languages from the indigenous tribes, but the Aztecs were the last big tradition when the conquest happened. So the one that speaks. I don't myself, but my some of my family speak it, but I haven't practicing it because I was now into international modern world with English and Spanish.
Yeah, it's good. You have a word in the Nahuatl language called Nagual, and it means, I believe, the awakened ones. It also means life force, energy. It might also be the name for shaman in your language. Do you want to share with us a little bit about the path of the Nagual?
Yes, the path of the Nagual is a space between everything that exists, and it's how the trees communicate, and that's life. So it begins to download us information. And that's what I love what you say about the voice, because my grandmother always told us that we're the instrument of the doctor of doctors. And that's what we call Toltec, because the inspiration comes to us. Now, how are we going to express it? So when we begin expressing it, it's because something in us lit up. And that is the flame that we begin channeling. And, in the tradition of where I grew up, my grandmother always said that shaman, it doesn't matter if it's male or female. What it really means is open channel to receive this information. So when you begin trusting in you, the Nagual awakens, because everybody begins trusting themselves, and they know exactly what to do. They know exactly what they need to let go of. But the moment that they're not honoring their word, we betray ourselves. And when we betray ourselves, it's so painful that we begin betraying and hurting other people. And this is how the world is living. That's why when one wakes up in the Nahuatl tradition, it is like, you begin hearing your own voice. And like you were saying, how powerful that is to have your own voice. That I remember not long ago that I was watching in a computer, and they discovered the sound of the sun because they got close to record it. And, the sound was Om.
Yeah.
The sun says Om. And you know, how can the Hindu tradition know this? It's because they went inside of themselves and found their Nagual. And in that tradition, they call different names. But when you activate this and see the whole world, you know that you can trust in you, and wherever life puts you, that's the place that we overcome. That's why I believe that everybody is a Nagual.
Yeah. I mean, this is the reason why a voice is so powerful, because we all not only have the voice that we carry out into the world, the messages that we do receive, but also this inner voice, the Om that one has in the silence, right? The inner wisdom is why we're these vertical instruments. I always look at us and think, wow, yes, we can lie down in the hammock, but the truth is it's like heaven to earth connection and earth to heaven. There you go, walking earth to sky, exactly. So what is oral tradition for you? I know it's very important in the Toltec tradition. And how does oral tradition help in continuing your family's legacy?
Well, the oral tradition, it is, you know, one can make a book report and not really connect to the words. The oral tradition is like, once again, you say the words that you feel, that you have intent for, and like you said, to have a vibration, because it's life. So when they teach us to have oral vibration, is to be impeccable with our word and have intent in our word. So it's like a prophet that's going to prophesize their intent. Let's say a little example is that an alcoholic wakes up and he'll be looking at his own life, his own suffering, and his poison that he's been numbing itself, and said, you know what? I will make all my intent like a prophecy that in 1 year I will not be doing this anymore. And the power of that intent that will manifest to happen. And that's the power of oral tradition, is to be aware that you're dreaming, and then respect everybody's dream, because everybody has their own download or program in their mind on how they live, how they use the word. But when you use the word with integrity in your own world, that unlocks a channel, that unlocks a vibration. And that also makes your seed very fertile, because like you see a powerful woman or a powerful man, when they live in this space and they respect themselves, when they speak, it's like a surrounding, it's like a tree that is having the wind and is completely moving, and that impacts whoever is listening. That's why when sometimes in the oral tradition, when we speak out loud, we're speaking to ourselves. But with that integrity, one can hear that they're speaking to them. That's why when my father wrote in oral tradition the 4 agreements and I begin reading it, I feel like this book, he made it just for me.
Right. That's the collective voice also, right? That we find resonance, and then we can identify in a way to other people's stories, and then see that they're actually our own story. And that's the beauty of community and the beauty of remembering, right? Yeah.
Yes,
so how? No. Share it with me.
Yes, like you were saying, it's so beautiful, the feeling when 2 flames get together, because when 2 flames get together, they become 1 flame, and that's the collective that I love in the wisdom of the fire.
Right, exactly. And I was thinking of integrity too, the throat chakra, or this area where the voice is born between breath and sound. It actually integrates so much of the heart energy and the mind energy, the wisdom of the mind and the passion and the feelings of the heart. And it's really there to integrate, because if we have too many emotions and we're not able to integrate them, then our body will breathe differently and slow down until we're able to process everything. And that's how the voice is. It's so beautiful, because it's a gate between the inner and outer worlds, right? Yeah.
Yes, and
you say, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's magical, because this is when my father teach me the out-of-body experience. He teach me the out-of-body experience. It's not that you're dreaming and seeing your body and you're floating. No, that's just a dream. The out-of-body experience is when you begin being aware of that body that is a living being, and it's just alive. And then when you see with your mind that you're taking care of that body, it just begins being such an honor, because you begin speaking to the divine, not in English, not in Spanish, not in German, but through a feeling of it's just the body and that emotion that it speaks to you when it's hungry, it speaks to you when it's sad, and it's asking you for help. And this is why we believe that we're the angels that come here to take care of these beautiful bodies.
Like emotion as in energy and motion, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you have do you believe we all carry a unique message for our world? You are a messenger. Many people see you as a messenger, but of course we all have that divine spark within. Does each of us have a message that's very personal
Absolutely.
to bring to the earth? Hmm?
Yes, absolutely. And the message is just our authentic selves, because when we're born into this world, we get programmed. A beautiful message that we carry is the program that we make. Let's say if we're born in a negative situation, and then we wake up, say, this is not correct. I come here to wake up from this nightmare. And by one waking up from this nightmare, it brings a message that is going to change it. So the next generations, something that clean up in that garden is because one got the message to clean their own minds, their own belief, their own dreams. And what gets passed behind is the little ones get it. So I really believe that when we overcome anything, when we overcome the suffering and let our happiness and our heart open, that is our message that we come to do. Now, the beautiful thing about this is like a Toltec, we're all messengers and we're all artists, but how is it what we're going to describe what comes from our heart? Then we begin getting comfortable in the discomfort, and the discomfort is the place that our mind tells us that we cannot do. And this is the magic, to go beyond our fear, to deliver the seed. And when we do that, we're doing a message in this world. And imagine all the messengers of love that have been before us. They went before their negativity and got their seed and planted it, and here we are receiving it. That's why when the last time I was in India, I was in the town of Shirdi, and they had this fire light up for 100 years. And every person, puts fire to keep that fire alive. So our message is also to bring our firewood that we don't want and burn it. And it keeps the fire completely alive. So everything that we do, doesn't matter if it's negative or positive, we're contributing to this world. But the beautiful thing is when we awake and we cannot go back to sleep, and our consciousness wakes up and we don't betray it. This is the message that we can give to the world, and everybody can give this gift. And everything that we went through is not in vain. All the suffering, all the hard times is not in vain, because that prepare us to make our seed stronger, and that's the impeccability of the word.
Beautiful. Don Jose, hold that thought. We're going to take a small break for our sponsors, and we're going to be back in 2 minutes with Don Jose, modern day shaman from the Toltec tradition.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Conflict comes in many forms and often triggers a fight-or-flight response. Some of us gravitate toward conflict, while many will stop at little to nothing to avoid it. Unfortunately, what we resist will persist, which often forces us to face our fear and deal with it head-on. Join me during my show, Conflict Rising, as I discuss the important role of conflict with leaders who have moved through it successfully. Tune in Thursdays at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, it's always darkest before the dawn.
With happy clients all over the world, Kara Johnstad knows that your voice is the missing link to more authenticity, abundance, creativity, and health. An internationally acclaimed voice expert, Kara's breakthrough methods have helped thousands of people successfully heal their voice wounds and extinguish the story of self-doubt and shyness forever. Join in group trainings, attend online sessions, schedule one-on-one time, and invite Kara to work with your organization and community. Get started today. Go to www.karajohnstad.com and receive a special guided meditation designed to fine-tune your inner voice and welcome you on the voice journey.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off at school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Voice Rising. I am Kara Johnstad, and with me today in studio is Toltec Master of Transformation and modern-day shaman Don Jose Ruiz. Don Jose, the wisdom of your family has been handed down from generation to generation, and I'm particularly fascinated with how wisdom can be handed down through the ages in the form of belief systems, prayers, stories, songs. How do we use story and song and the impeccable word to help us arrive at truth?
Well, the beautiful thing about storytelling, as my ancestors taught me, is when you tell a story, you're not pointing a finger at somebody. You should do this, you should do that. No. A story, it's a beautiful story about action, reaction, consequences, and one's participation in life. So when the apprentice listens to the story and finds itself in one of the story characters, they feel like, oh, I've been doing that, but it's not being pointing the finger. So it opens up the mind with no self-judgment, because sometimes the mind loves to judge itself, and when it judges itself, it doesn't see anything else but its own victimization. But with the power of storytelling, it gives you the opportunity to see life from a different point of view, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a story. So from this point on, the heart is always delivering a song, because the heart is like a metronome, and it tells you when you're excited, when you're happy, when you're sad. The point is that you have to listen. Now, listening to the story, and let's say we listen to the story of the victim, and one say, I'm not a victim. But then it begins listening to their own story in their own head, the one that they believe all the time, the longer that it's not real. Let's say like someone hurt us 20 years ago, but those 20 years ago already passed. They're not hurting us right now, but we hold on to that story. So with our heart, we begin listening to the story, and it hurts us. But it's gone. So when we begin listening to the vibration of the heart, like we were saying earlier, how it speaks to us, we're saying, okay, Jose, please don't hurt me anymore. Please don't use that story anymore. Please be loyal to me. And in that moment, I said, oh my God, I've been unloyal to the love of my life, which is myself. And when I look into the mirror and I listen to my heartbeat, whatever I feed in stories, but I feed negative stories, and then I hear it. I said, okay, it's time to let the story go, so a new story can come in. And this is when we purify the story, when we let go, when we go into forgiveness, and when we begin seeing that if we don't like our dream, we can totally change it. Why? It's because it's our dream. And this is what the power of storytelling makes us have a gift, to believe in ourselves and to know that we're storytellers. Now the question is, what kind of storyteller are we? What is the story that we tell the people we say that we love with all our heart and to ourselves? Well, if we like the story, we can continue. But if we don't like it, here's the opportunity to listen to the heart. Because like Abraham Lincoln said, if I do good, I feel good. And if I do bad, I feel bad. And that is common sense. And we make everything complicated and unreachable because we don't want to change, because those tentacles of the negative story want to live. But when the real heart wakes up and you can feel that vibration from your heart, you cannot lie to your integrity anymore. And that's when clean consciousness gives us freedom. And that Egyptian always say, in order to enter heaven, your heart must be light as a feather. If your heart is not light as a feather, you may never enter heaven. And of course, we're talking about the consciousness. If our consciousness is not in integrity, we will not be happy. There's always something that's going to bother us. But the moment that we are honest with ourselves and are in integrity, our consciousness gets clean, and then we live in heaven.
Exactly. On earth as it is in heaven. That's a line actually from the Lord's Prayer. So what happens when our story then collapses, when we choose when we're listening to our heart and we realize that the story that we keep on propagating or telling to our beloveds or our friends is not necessarily the story that's resonating with our heart, and that story starts to collapse, how do we enter that process of unveiling or unraveling and allow those dark stories or those stories that are no longer serving us to unfold without falling apart and feeling guilty in a way of having wasted, 40, 50, 60 years of walking the earth telling ourselves all these negative storylines?
Well, the beautiful thing is about surrender, and the light is not about age. Well, you still find the light inside of you. It's not about age, because there's still time to wake up and change everything. And this is a beautiful thing about life. Everything that we did in our life was perfect. The mistakes that we've done, the mistakes that we will do, they inspire us to let go of things. And this is a beautiful moment when we learn to let go, because sometimes we don't learn to let go, and this is what makes us a victim, because we don't want to let go to those negative stories. And there's some people who keep these stories on purpose because they manipulate people with their sad story, and they become like a vampire sucking the energy. And every culture has this, because they're just asking for help. But the moment that you begin opening the heart and not longer enabling other people, the light gets passed on to the other light, because there's a place of respect. And this is one of the things that my father always represented to me, respect. If I had something that was bothering me, I went talk to him. I had to think twice before I talked to him, because he took action and manifested right away. Like, let's say I want to change schools, and said, okay, you will change schools. Hey, I don't want to change schools anymore. No, now you're changing schools. You have to be in integrity with your words. You have to let that story go. So I love this point about the internet. When they put a picture in it, I saw, it's two people walking away from each other. And the picture says, just because you're walking away from each other doesn't mean they don't love each other. It means just that their story in their life is over. And, if we walk with guilt and shame, we're just going to pass that negative story to our different relationships. But the moment that we know that our brain operates with guilt and shame, this is how people manipulated religion. This is how people manipulated belief systems. And this is how people manipulate, the weak. But the moment that you don't do that anymore, that we don't do that anymore, everything begins to change, because we begin respecting our brothers and sisters, because we respect ourselves. And now when the artist lives in self-respect, we respect everything of our art. Everything is perfect. I remember, like, a few years ago, someone came to my father and says, Don Miguel, I'm so scared. Why? This because it's the last judgment. And he goes, oh, great, let's celebrate. And he goes, why should we celebrate? Well, it's the last judgment. It's the last time that we will judge ourselves. Why will we don't celebrate that?
Exactly. So was he able to celebrate and realize that he can embrace that new space of being in the heart?
Yes, exactly. And in that moment, we were doing a masquerade event. So this person put all, after my father speak that, he brought a mask. It was a white mask, but in words, in a marker, he wrote all the judgments that he had. That he wasn't good for love, that he was never going to receive love, that he was guilt and all these bad things. And when he came to the party, he said, from everything I've learned, I'm going to celebrate. And the big celebration is to take this mask off, because it's not my real face. This is not the real me. And he showed a big, happy smile and goes, this is the real me. And, I've seen this beautiful man again and again and again. And it's beautiful how to learn to let go. And that's the thing, to surrender. Whatever happened, happened. Even if the people don't forgive us for things that we did yesterday, but what matters is to not repeat them to the people that we're going to meet tomorrow.
Exactly. You talk about in your books, when we're talking about the stories, the voices that are within, that we're carrying, our own, and also many, many voices that we've received, good and bad, from grandmoms, from grandmothers, from dads, from teachers, from bosses, from our beloveds, from whoever it is, right? And you talk about the parasite and the allies. And how do you see these two types of voices wanting to control our state of being?
Well, the beautiful thing about life is that we learn, and sometimes we don't choose what to learn, but we begin to unlearn. And that's the whole thing about the Toltec tradition. There's nothing to learn but to unlearn what takes our inspiration away. And during the time that we learn all these things, there's something happened in our life that is a program. And like a fireman said to me, when the fire in a forest gets a certain size, it has life of its own. So I imagine knowledge in our head, like it has life of its own. So it's there.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that we have to be skeptical of that negativity. And that's what the fifth agreement is, to be skeptical, but learn to listen with the heart. Be skeptical of all the negative programs that we had. Like, let's say, Jose, you're not meant for love. Jose, you can never do a radio show. Jose, you can never go on stage and share your heart. Like, if I believed that, I would never do that. But the moment that I'm skeptical of my own negativity, I said, okay, thank you. And we begin to walk on fire. And to walk on fire in life is to walk through the uncomfortableness and get comfortable in the uncomfortableness, just like yoga. But, like people go to a yoga studio, they see this person doing this, difficult pose, and says, I will never do that. And right there, it's not going to do that because it's an agreement. But if they practice every day, one day they will be doing that. And it's just about being skeptical of our negativity and really believing in ourselves. So everything that happened before, all the judgments, everything, it was a part of it because life threw at us because it believed that we can overcome it. The only thing now we have to do is just believe in ourselves that we can overcome it, just like life gave it to us. And that's why we're called messengers, because we're of service to life. Because when we pray, the angel listens. And when we pray inside of our mind, who is listening? We are. So that means that we are the angels. We just begin to train ourselves to unlearn this way of living, because it's about unlearning like a computer. If there's a virus in the computer, you have to look for the virus, because if you pretend that there's no virus, the computer will continue running slow. But the moment that you get the virus, you unlearn it, and we created the virus in the first place. So we know what it is.
Right.
Honestly, it's a powerful tool.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Don Jose. For many people on the spiritual path, they do understand the power of story, and they struggle with one issue, and that issue is, do I keep on dealing with my own story and not paying attention to the, let's say, the news media and all of the horrific starvation, war in Yemen, climate crisis, things that are really touching us, our collective voice, that are really calling us to action. And it feels like the struggle is, do I look clearly at this huge shadow side of humanity and walk into that mud knowing that I'm a powerful healer and shaman? Or in doing so, am I continuing to feed the negative stories and the negative cycles? What do you encourage people to do to stay healthy, to stay well, to not get bogged down, but at the same time not to be blind to the virus that you talked about, not to be ignorant and not see when injustice is happening, that we need to come together as creators and as artists and as lovers for life to raise our voices for these issues?
Yes, absolutely, because this world, it was already, the dream of the planet was already in suffering when we were born. Mm-hmm. And when we were born, there were all these things happening already. But when we wake up from this program and we say, hey, these things are not happening, these things happening. Okay, this is a reality. But first, let me fix what it affected. And what it affected was my home. And when I mean my home, my mind. So the moment that I clean my mind, I cannot do what I don't have. So when I clean my mind, I can make a change in the world. Because if we begin having hate and hatred to everybody, that is doing this negativity, then we're just the same thing. And the beautiful thing about waking up is that everything that's happening in the world right now is the planet asking for help. All the children of mothers, they're asking for help because they're in deep, they're drowning in pain and doing these horrible acts. This is a description that they're asleep. They're dreaming a nightmare. So when we wake up and not take them personal, but at the same time, like you say, not be blind, we begin doing what makes us heart feel good, our contribution. And we cannot do the whole thing by one person. It's a collective that we're doing. It's like one of my passions is to be a voice for dogs, because puppies, they don't have a voice. And life put us here to have a voice for animals. And so that is one of my passions, to have a voice for little animals. And in that, I learned something, sister. It's that my body is a living animal too, and that all my brothers and sisters, their little animals, their body is. And they have forgotten that because we believe in the mind that is just killing the planet. We're like a virus. So we can be the bad bacteria in the world, or we can be the good bacteria in the world. It's deciding what we will choose. But the beautiful thing about this is that we have to have faith in whatever the divine order is doing, because it's doing it for a reason. We just here in service. But I tell you, if you can do something to change, like you're doing this beautiful message of communication to touch many people, to hear these positivity words, that's a change in the world. I'm also going out there and learning whatever I did and sharing the people, and that's also, so as a collective, when we wake up, we're helping this planet. So just everybody listening, just by you in your house, making a change in you, you're helping this collective, because your little children are watching and your neighbor's children are watching how you're living. And like our ancestors, they live to a certain point, but it comes a point when we see the injustice, and somebody who walk in this path will be a master to go into politics, will be a master to go into education, will be a master to go into engineering. And little by little, we will unlearn what is hurting the planet. But right now, it's a big wake-up call. And my grandmother said to me before she passed away, if I catch you doing what I'm doing, you're killing the Toltec tradition. If I catch you doing what your father is doing, you're killing the Toltec tradition. To keep the Toltec tradition alive, you have to overcome your own dream, your own self, your own negativity, and not live in the past, but carry the torch of the Toltec into the future. And the Toltec we talk about is not the Toltec of 2,500 years ago. No, we're talking about the artists of today, like you and me, like everybody listening. We are Toltec. We're the artists of today. And we're here to make art with our hearts and translate it to our mind. And our mind will create the medicine that will go and talk to a politician. We will talk to an engineer. We will talk to an educational person in a principal school. And that will carry the seed to begin making the change. And Grandma said that she was so happy that we were going to experience biblical time and changes, because it's happening. And I said, what do you mean, Grandmother? The return of Mother. She's coming back. All the energy, because Mother has been suppressed. Many people do not talk about the genocide that were done to women, because the woman is the portal of the infinite. And, all men were made to serve Mother, and also to, be grateful to be alive. And this is what the world has forgotten. They're resentment, they're hateful, they're not grateful to be alive, because there's this cloud of illusion clouding us. And I was a part of it until I wake up and, situations happen to my mind. And sometimes people don't understand, just because I was born into this family, they think I didn't go through the dark times. No, I went through even darker times. But when I came out of it, I know that I had medicine. Like everybody listening who's going through tougher times and dark times, when you get out of it, you have medicine. And now you can help the world, really, because you understand it. And when everybody screams at us, they're asking for help. When people are negative to the world, they're asking for help. The trick is to not take them personal, and to see that how they're dreaming. Because if you don't take them personal and you talk to them, you can put seeds. But if you take them personal, you're just doing the same thing they're doing from a different group now. The thing is to make peace.
Beautiful, Don Jose. We're going to take a very quick break and then be back with your wonderful, wise words of wisdom.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs, and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hi, everybody. We are at Voice Rising, and I am here with Don Jose Ruiz, a modern-day shaman from the Toltec tradition. Don Jose, in Toltec tradition, you say that everyone is dreaming at the same time, and it's often our old dreams that we are holding on to. That's what we were just talking about. Why do you think we are so addicted to suffering?
It's because that's what people gave to us before we were born. They live in suffering, and they live in suffering, and they hurt one another, and they suppress mother. And by generation, they suppress themselves. And machismo is a big act on it. Machismo is one of the biggest poisons that suppress mother and make us unhappy, because machismo is the man suppressing the woman, and and being cold and not having less emotions, and just hurting and manipulating, and that creates just a pure negativity all around the world. Doesn't have any respect. So of course we feel suppressed. So of course we feel put down, and in that put down and suppression, people become addicted to suffering, that they go into substance. They're going to use drugs, or they're going to use, with sex, or they used to go with even with hatred. They begin joining groups, but not to change the world, but to encourage hate. And this is the thing that one has to be really aware of, and to be really honest. And in the Toltec tradition, my father put me to speak and has said to me, okay, say in front of the group, Jose, my name is Don Jose Ruiz, and I'm addicted to suffering. And I remember the first time he put me to say that, and I was in resistance. I took it personal. I go, Dad. And then he sat me down and reflected to me how I'm living. I go, oh, my God, I am addicted to suffering. I just didn't want to know. And the moment that you begin being aware of the addiction that we get, that's the first part of transformation, because we become aware of what we want to let go. But this, sister, it's been passing us through generations, and if we're weak, if we pass through a street and somebody screams at us, we know that has nothing to do with us, but if we use that to hurt ourselves, it's like Siddhartha getting all those poison arrows, and he's going to hit with himself with everyone. Instead of turning it into roses, he's going to use every arrow to hurt himself. And that's what the addiction of suffering is so powerful, because we all learn to hurt ourselves with the arrow that people throw up, especially when we were in junior high, when we were in schools. Like one of my friends says, that's when we're more dangerous of it all, because we don't know what we're saying, because we cannot control our emotional poison, that we begin hurting one another at that age. So we grow up later with that foundation in our mind, beating it, that it becomes a reality, and we don't know even the cause why we're unhappy. But the moment that we decide, we don't want to do this anymore, I want to change my life, it's when like somebody who has had that experience and all of a sudden become enlightened because someone give a slap in the face and say, you're still alive. And everything that we used to hurt ourselves with paralyzes, because we begin seeing ourselves. And then we said, oh my God, I think the scorpion that is been stinging itself with its own tail, having the scorpion that's stinging itself with its own stinger, and I'm not going to do it anymore. But, unfortunately, most of us humans, we go through this in our path to learn, to self-discovery. But when we get conscious about it, beware darkness, because the light is coming. Because our whole point of this is to learn how hell works. And then when we open up our heart, heaven comes out. And, heaven doesn't need heaven. Who needs heaven is hell. And wherever we go, sister, we will take our heaven with us. And that's our presence. But we have to overcome. And that's why I really believe that the addiction of suffering lives, because it's also part of the divine. So we can find the light.
Right. In so many spiritual traditions, there is a very deep focus on letting go of attachment, letting go of all that no longer serves us, letting go of identification. And there's also a very big minimalistic movement happening to rid ourselves of the past in many ways. And yet it seems to me that we are also living in a time that's very unrooted. There are many people that do not even know the lines or the heritage of their own grandparents, where they come from, their ancestors, and they're very disconnected. So how can we stay attached and nurture the remembering and the belonging that we desperately need to stay rooted on the planet, and at the same time let go of the attachments that may no longer serve us?
Yes, I have a great friend called Nagi, an Aztec warrior from Mexico, and he said to me and to the group, he says, you know, what do we charge every day? And everybody was quiet, and he said, our phones. We charge our phones every day that we forget to charge ourselves. We forget to walk in nature. We forgot to, do good things. But we charge our phones. And with those phones, we begin taking pictures. And all those pictures, all those thousands of pictures that we have, we don't even see them in the computer. They're there. That we forget to take pictures with our eyes, with our ears. We forget to be, walking with our words. And when I begin hearing his words, I said, okay. I begin walking and begin charging myself. Begin charging the words that we carry and speaking out loud. It's because the voice are being charging with ourselves. And one day, last year, my stepmother passed away, and we were in her wake. And I see her dead body, and she was in the casket. And I was touching her. I know that her spirit already left, but she gave me the first teaching of her passing. And she said, Jose, don't wait to let go of things that you don't want in your life anymore. Don't wait till you're here in a box like I am. Go and let go of them now so you can enjoy your life. Pretend you already, you let go of the past and you're dead and you come back to life. And it's the resurrection of the embodiment of life. What are you going to do now? Let go of those things that don't serve you anymore. Be honest with yourself. They don't serve you anymore. They're tasteless, because when you begin living in Ghost Town, it's because you don't belong there anymore. And Ghost Town, for me, is the past. And in Ghost Town, there's an island of safety, a pain that we're used to that we don't want to let go, because that's all we know, because we humans are afraid of the unknown. Just like when we end a relationship and one says, I will never love again, I will never love again. It's because the pain is so deep in that moment, but it heals and you love again. And this is the beautiful thing about letting go of stories, letting go of situations. As long as we keep continuing a negative dream, it will continue. But when a moment that we put in ourselves in alignment and respect ourselves, we are standing, being loyal in front of the love of our life. And the love of our life is ourselves. So if we know that we're the love of our life, why should we give ourselves rotten chocolates and dead flowers, saying, I love you here? No. Everything changes. And those flowers and rotten chocolates, now, we don't give to the love of our life, because now we give fresh flowers and delicious chocolates, because that's what we give to ourselves. And that is all in stories.
Exactly. The power of stories, the power of voice. Wisdom is the realization that you do have the choice in your own story and that you can rewrite the narrative. That's exactly what you're talking about. Do you have an easy practice for people to begin with to start to rewrite their story and change the narrative of their lives?
Yes, I have one. My father taught me this in Teotihuacan, Mexico. He said, grab 3 stones, Jose. Walk and grab 3 stones, and each stone will represent something that you don't want anymore. Let's say jealousy, let's say self-indicted hatred, and let's say, you're not impeccable with your word. Now grab those 3 stones and be aware of them. And then when you become aware of them, go and make a burial. Put them in the yard, make a little hole and put it there. But make an act to say, you, give me everything. And now I wake up and I don't need you anymore. And putting that, saying that, thank you for everything, the good ones and the bad ones, but I don't need you anymore. I make an intent to let you go. And doing that exercise, it's a ceremony with intent, because it gave me the awareness of what I need to let go. So Let's Teotihuacan. I begin doing that in my everyday life. So I invite everybody to go into nature, grab 3 stones, and give it the meaning of things that you want to let go of. Nobody has to know. Only you know, because this is your own ceremony. You don't need to put it on the social media. I did this and I did that, or say it to your friends. No. This is just for you. And when you know that, you're charging yourself and discharging all the negative energy and charging yourself with the good energy, because that's the power of honesty. Right. And this is the impeccability of the word ceremony.
Right. So within each of us we do have a truth that we sense. We do carry the light of divinity. We talked a lot about the heart energy and the path of following that heart energy and being the vessels of love that we are. What is the relationship between sound and vibration and light and frequency in the work that you're doing?
Oh, this is the most magical thing, because we let the body go for a walk. Like we take a puppy for a walk. When we get into this vibration, we let the body just drink in the light, drink in life, walk between trees, hear the sound of the trees, and inspire us to make, words of love, make quotes, make poems. And that is romance, sister. We begin to romance our soul with ourselves. That's why when we begin being the love of our life, no one has the right to scream at us. And we don't have the right to scream at nobody. And we begin to live in harmony. And we will never place our body where it's disrespected, because we're protecting it. We become just like the painting of the Virgin of Guadalupe. We become the little angel that represents our powerful mind. And there's a moon plate holding her and holding the body, which represents our emotional body. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. You carry the body of Mother, because our body is an amplification of her, like a plant is, like a tree is. We're also the tree of knowledge and the tree of life. So when we begin eating our own fruit, something magical begins happening. We cannot blame anybody else for what's happening in our life. We're responsible of taking care of our beautiful garden, of our beautiful tree, of our beautiful temple, our beautiful shrine. And this is the human body, the body of Mother. So when we wake up with this consciousness and we travel the world and see different religions, different belief systems, we know that we're all working for the same boss, tackling down the addiction of suffering with all the love in our heart.
I love this. I also just this awareness that we're drinking it all in, that when we walk in the woods, that we're allowing the sky to come and permeate every single cell that we have in our body, that we're feeling the earth underneath our feet, that we're seeing the miracles of our hands and our ears and our nose, and that we're just having that great gratitude. Don Jose, if you have one golden nugget to leave with the audience, that they could take a powerful word, or they could take a powerful image, a powerful intent, and use it to ignite their path, their journey as creators, as Naguas, what would it be?
It's to be aware that we all are dreaming. And if you don't like your dream, you can change it. How and why? To believing in yourself. And because it's your dream, you can do anything you want in your dream. And this is when one wakes up to become the dream master. And a dream master is not that one controls someone else's dream. No, it's the one that can control their own dream. And controlling your own dream, you're entering the mastery of love, of self-love, of self-taking care of. So from this point on, if you're living in a nightmare, it's time to wake up. And I'm not sorry to say, once you wake up, you can never go back to sleep. And now you're awakening your consciousness, your third eye opens to give from the heart to this beautiful world and say thank you.
You are such a precious human being. We are so blessed to have you with us today on the show. Where is the best place to get your writings or know where your workshops are? I know you do a lot of workshops also with your family. Do you have the homepage? Is it best to go to your homepage?
Yes, under miguelruiz.com is where all our family events are. And also, I like to put in social media on my personal Facebook has become, not fan page, my personal, and Instagram. I like to share poems, I like to share videos. I even do cook videos. Everything has to inspire and share from there. And it's, you know, this time it's the mastery of friendship. So I like to share from that point on the art.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Well, I thank you very much for being with us here today at Voice Rising. I have enjoyed all your work, and I think it's so insightful for all of us who are struggling with the addiction at times, with suffering, to wake up big time from any kind of negative dreams and really step into that place of abundance and love. Thank you, Don Jose, for being with us.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you for the message of love.